Now when you've got an APS sensor, you're going to need a really good super wide to get those great landscape shots. And here is the Fuji 10 to 24mm at f4. But wait a minute, here is the Zeiss 12mm 2.8. Which one's better? Let's find out. We've got a battle of super wides. We're going to put two different super wide lenses onto two Fuji XH1 bodies. So what have we got? Well, first of all, we've got this. This is the Fuji 10 to 24mm lens, and it's f4 right the way across the range. 35mm equivalent on this lens is 15 to 36. We're going to put it against this iconic Zeiss 12mm. This is 2.8 and it gives us an 18mm 35mm equivalent. The Zeiss or the Fuji. It'd be really interesting to see how these lenses perform side by side. What are you expecting, Paul?
Not much difference, to be honest. The Zeiss will be slightly more colour.
The Zeiss has got sort of iconic status, hasn't it?
It has really, yeah. I've used a few Zeiss lenses and they were all brilliant.
But people say this lens in particular, I mean, it really is.
It's a really good wide angle.
It really is something else in terms of the super wides.
It is, yeah.
But then again, you rate the Fuji.
Yeah, the Fuji is excellent as well. Having the zoom is useful. They're both useful. I wouldn't separate them. I wouldn't do without both of them, to be honest.
Well, it'd be really interesting to see. So we're just going to walk along the canal a little bit here and have a look and take some pictures and just put them up on screen and just see really how different these are. Which one would you go for? Zeiss or the Fuji? The Zeiss or the Fuji? Well, let's get on with some sample photos because you don't want to hear me rabbit on, you want to see the photos. Now this is the Fuji and this is the Zeiss. Yeah, I know, difficult to tell the difference. Let's put them side by side. Now as you can see, we haven't got the best day here, but even in flat light, let's zoom in a bit. That's 400%. Let's go 1000 pixel peeping. Oh my good gosh, they're almost indistinguishable, aren't they? This is going to be difficult. Let's just see them again. Wow, I don't know. It's going to be hard. If I was pushed hard, I'd say the Zeiss was very slightly sharper, but there's hardly anything in it. He's back at the boat again. So Paul finds the sunken barge that we used in the last Fuji versus Zeiss test. I'll leave a link in the description to that. And here are some of the images. This is the Zeiss and this is the Fuji. That's warmer, isn't it? That's noticeably warmer. So let's go with a wider shot. This is the Fuji and that's pretty much everything I'd expect. So let's see what the Zeiss did with this image. Oh wow, that's a very different colour, isn't it? It's not as warm as the Fuji. Not a lot between the sharpness. We put them side by side here and it's very difficult to tell. Except the Fuji is noticeably warmer. That's the one thing that's coming through to me here. They are both sharp. The Zeiss is slightly crisper, I think. I think there's slightly more detail in, but you're going to have to really pixel peep to find that, I think. So after taking a few images with the Zeiss on, I've now gone to the Fuji lens and taking a few pictures with the Fuji lens. My initial thoughts there are the Fuji feels like it's part of the camera. It feels like it was built for this camera, but that's not surprising, is it? Because it actually probably was. You know, the Fuji is sort of lighter, more tactile. The Zeiss seems like it's not meant to be there, but will the results be any different? Of course, the other big thing that you notice straight away with this Fuji lens on is that you've got a zoom, albeit a small zoom, you still have got one. And when we had a duck and some ducklings with the Fuji, even the 10 to 24mm enabled me to zoom in a little bit and get something. I know it's not a lot, I know it's not any, you know, the kind of thing that a wildlife photographer is going to use, but just having the ability just to nip in and out of the shot slightly, reframing. Okay, yeah, I've got feet, I've got legs, I know that. I'm being lazy. I think what this comes down to at the end of the day is it's not cost. The Fuji feels lighter, much lighter on the camera, feels much more integrated with the camera, but it comes down to image, doesn't it? That's what it comes down to. Is the Zeiss giving us a much better image? That's what we want to know. So let's have a look at some more images, and here's the Zeiss on some hawthorn flowers. Let's just have a look at the Fuji. How did that get on? Oh, warmer again. Look at the greens. They're so much warmer, but it's not as sharp. Let's put those two together. That flower is not as sharp as the Zeiss. Look at the Zeiss underneath. It's really, really crisp. Now, that's the first time I've really noticed a difference. Oh, sorry. Nearly fell over. They're great, aren't they? Fixed super wides when you've got big, huge beaches or massive great skies, impressive skies with you know, sunsets and different colours and all sorts of things going on. But when you're out like this, we've got some lovely, you know, canal scenes and countryside scenes, but we keep seeing things like, you know, there's a goose over there just sort of tending a nest, and then there was a duck with loads of ducklings. In fact, she's coming, and in actual fact I'm going to get better pictures on my iPhone than I've got with this, because it's a super wide and I just can't get any closer. Let me just turn the camera around. It is a pretty scene. Okay, here they come, these little, here they come. Can you see them? And Mum is staying over there, look, can you see? She's saying to them, don't go over to strangers. Here they come. Look at that. Springtime. Call them back, Mum. Tell them they're not safe. Yeah. Oh, here's some more stragglers. There they go. And you need to get a healthy distrust of people. Ducklings. Unfortunately, you need to be more wary of people. What have we got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, 10. Well, congratulations to that mum. She's done really well. She's got all 10 of them around her, look. Isn't that beautiful? And so there's a prime example. And that, Paul, is why I assume you love your Sony so much.
True.
And I'm talking about the RX10 Mark IV, because, you know, that gives you not the super wide, but it gives you what, a 24. It gives you a 24mm lens.
Yeah.
But had we been in that position with the ducklings coming over and whatnot, it also gives you the ability to go all the way in, you know, 600
600, yeah.
35mm equivalent, that is, isn't it? You know, so
yeah, it would have been perfect.
You know, it would have been absolutely perfect then, and that's where those cameras really come into their own. You know, it's great having a super wide, but they are very specific. You know, it's something to have in your bag for doing the big landscapes, and for doing, you know, specialized shots that you know, room shots or something where you need that extra width to the pictures. Yeah. But you know, when you're out and about for everyday general photography, having something like a 24 to 600, or even my Nikon ZFC, you know, gives me the ability to go from I've got a 16 to 50, and then a 50 to, what is it?
Is it 250?
250, which is a 375mm in 35mm equivalent, and you know, it just gives you options. But maybe when we get these pictures on the screen and I see the quality from these super wides, maybe I change my mind. So let's have a look at the quality of the images. And all these images I'm showing you at the moment are straight from the camera. No manipulation, no editing, no nothing. This is the Zeiss. And I will show you some edited pictures at the end. Let's have a look at the Fuji. No, not a fat lot of difference. A little bit warmer. Slightly punchier maybe. I don't know. I can't tell the sharpness in that one. Let's go close in on some flowers. Here's some bluebells. Let's have a look now. This is the Fuji and they're nice and sharp on the left, look. And the Zeiss. Wow, now that is sharper. Wow, let's get those zoomed in. Let's have a look. 400%. Wow, look at that. Now that is way sharper, isn't it? That's not out of focus. That's just the difference. That is a big zoom in. And of course, on this flat lighting day, that's the first one with real contrast, and you can see the sharpness. Let's have a look at these slabs on the floor, this slate. That's the Fuji. Let's go Zeiss. Oh yeah, way sharper. Look at the detail in that. That is amazingly sharp compared to the Fuji. Now, when you got higher contrast in the image, I think you can start seeing the sharpness. Back to the canal on that flat lighting, and on the flat lighting days, I don't think you can tell. It's not absolutely apparent, is it? Let's have a look at the garden shots there. This is the Fuji. Very green, the grass. Yeah, it's a colour difference, isn't it? The Zeiss doesn't have that warm colour. But zooming in onto that bonsai tree there, and again, I think you can see the Zeiss may be fractionally sharper. The Fuji is definitely warmer. No, there's hardly anything to choose between these two lenses. I think it's down to personal choice. Do you prefer that very tiny bit of sharpness on the Zeiss, or do you like the colour of the Fuji? Now, I did say I would include a couple of images from the edit. So here are my favourite two images from that little shoot. We didn't have the best light, so I went black and white. One from the Fuji, one from the Zeiss. So Paul, if you could only have one of these lenses, which one would it be?
I'd keep the Zeiss.
We'll take the Zeiss.
We'll take the Zeiss.
Deal done. So Paul would take the Zeiss, which is interesting because I'd take the Fuji. And I'd take the Fuji because it feels better on the camera. It feels more integrated. I can't really tell that much difference between the sharpness on the image. The Zeiss may be a little tiny bit sharper, but I mean, can you really tell? It's the Fuji's warmer, and I like warm pictures. That is something that you know I go for. So all in all, I just think there's more of a package in the Fuji. So that's the one I'd go for. I hope you've enjoyed watching this. If you have, please consider hitting the subscribe button or giving us a like. That'd really be helpful. Thank you. Now, Paul and I have done another couple of lenses head to head. There's the Fuji 35mm f1.4, which is a brilliant lens, but we pitted it up with an equally brilliant lens, the Zeiss 32mm 1.8. Now, that was a really good shootout. If you'd like to watch that, click on this video here. And if you'd like to see a film about two f2.8 zoom lenses, a Fuji and a Nikon, then click on this link here.